Hello there. Some breaking news about our dear friend, Mr. Stephen Laxley Lennon. I'm trying not to use his pseudonym. He's apparently been served court papers and panicked. He actually got the police to kind of say, "Oh, help me! There's some weird guy coming up to my door." Uh, and it turned out to be the police. When they did show up, the police were given official court papers about a court case against the Syrian refugee that he most recently accused of all sorts of stuff that has proved untrue. But now he's actually got the court case papers, and he has 2 weeks to respond before he actually has to deal with getting his backside sued. So court case is now in place for that. That actually means that now Tommy has got a lot to answer for. He's got to come up with a reasonable excuse to why he posted a random rant without doing any research whatsoever on what he claimed. He'll probably use the defence, well, I was trolled by a left-winger, but any good reporter, which he claims to be, will automatically tell you that you should always double check your sources. That is why he is not a reporter, he is just a blogger at best, because good reporters will always back their sources up and make sure they are telling a factual account of what's happening, or make it complicit that this is opinion only with some facts to back their opinion up. Tommy, however, did none of these. He just made a mad rant about some poor kid, and now he's been served papers. Now, the interesting thing is it actually got broadcast live by a channel called Mock the Right. Very interesting. He made a very interesting video about Tommy's supposed involvement in the harassment of a rape charity helpline by his supporters. I myself, when I posted up my last video, got a lot of abusive comments. Nothing relating to the actual topic, but at least one person was willing to have an actual structured argument and debate with me. He was willing to at least kind of put his arguments across. I respect you. I respect anyone that, if I disagree with them, I respect anyone that is intelligent enough to give a rational debate, rather than just the bog standard name calling. And a lot of the stuff was regardless and had nothing to do with the topic. And the simple answer is, if I get anything like that that's not related to the topic, I don't feed you. I'm not going to feed you Tommy Trolls anything. Instead, I'm just going to delete your comments. If you want to make a structured argument, I will respond with a structured counter-argument to express my views as to why I believe that way. Now, one of his comments was about me calling his fans a cult. I believe that was one of the things he took objection to. Now, I actually looked at the dictionary term of cult, and actually there's a few definitions of it. So I was in a way kind of very correct in my assumption, because we call anything cultish isn't necessarily religion of sorts, but it can be one of two meanings. So the first meaning, I've just got the Oxford English Dictionary's website up: a system of religious venerations devoted and directed toward a particular figure or object. Cult of Olaf. Alternative, a small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or imposing excessive control over members. That's another one that's there. A misplaced or excessive admiration of a particular thing. Now this is where Tommy fans come into the picture. I repeat that this is where my argument for why Tommy found out the Tommy thing is a cult is misplaced or excessive admiration of a particular thing. That's that is where the cult aspect comes from, and that is actual a Oxford Dictionary definition. So there you go. So I was right in my analysis of saying this is the cult. Uh, you associate a cult with a if you associate a cult with a religious thing, there's more than one cult. For example, pop culture, there's a lot of like cults. There's Star Trek fans could be a cult, for example, because they have a very big fan following. That's why you get cult of celebrity, where people obsess over celebrities. So I was right in my assertion of cult. But back to the topic. This actually proves now that the court papers have been served, it does prove that to me that Tommy Robinson seriously needs to think about the next thing he decides to post to his fans, because I suspect once the floodgates are open, there'll be a massive tide that he won't be able to handle. It's the same with what happened with Katie Hopkins. She opened her mouth and ended up having to almost declare bankruptcy because she couldn't afford the court case. Tommy will do the opposite. He'll beg his fans to pay this bill for him. He'll beg his fans to pay the actual lawsuit itself. He'll probably do that, and he'll claim it's kind of he's been suppressed. I'm already seeing like a lot of kind of negative comments about the lawyer, he's claiming he's like this whole conspiracy thing about his lawyer that I found. But let's talk about the guy who actually delivered the papers for a sec. This is actually the owner of a site called Mock the Right. He has a disability. He is very intelligent. You should definitely check out his pages. His website is very cleverly thought out. And he walked to his house with the papers in hand. He had a dog walking with him. And the idea was he was just going to knock on the door, give whoever was in the papers and leave. No threats of violence whatsoever. The whole point was to give him the papers, see how he reacted to that, and then go. Of course, the right do not like to be filmed when they are not in control of it, because they like to media manage everything, and we've seen that. We've seen that with Tommy. He'll get his phone out if he's accused, and he'll point it at his accuser. He'll do all sorts of things, but if you have a camera in front of him doing something that he shouldn't be doing, his fans will threaten violence. We've actually seen this recently. They've been talking about this. There's threats of violence, and they're saying that, and in the Panorama case, they are saying now that a lot of journalists who are just investigating stories, doing the actual job that they've actually been trained for, that have like took out loans to learn, not just some random chancer who has a video camera that he probably bought from Curry's or PC World or Phones for You. This is actually people who journalism and studied how to do what they do. They probably worked part-time just to pay off the bills. I actually know a journalist who did that. Worked in don't want to say who they are, but they worked really a rubbishy job just to pay to go to be a journalist. So the fact that his fans are claiming to be a journalist when he has no journalistic training whatsoever, he's at best a YouTube blogger. That's all really he is. And I guarantee I'll get people, if that happened last time, abusing me about my looks, about my family situation, and just stuff that is irrelevant to the argument. Because then one thing I've noticed, especially with Tommy fans, is rather than attack my arguments, they'll rather attack me as a person. They'll rather mock me. They'll rather do things that are not related in a case of trying to bully me into backing down or removing my video because they don't like it. And that's what's happening now. this court case, I guarantee, as soon as it happens, there will be a lot of folks outside the courts trying to like throw their weight around to kind of make it look like Tommy, to make it look like if Tommy doesn't get his way, they'll cause a riot. If they do that, though, they will get arrested and they will be locked up for public order offences. I even suspect, because this case is such high profile, that there may be an injunction put on the actual court case, meaning that there would be no people, there'd be no access to protesters. We'll have to say they can have the right. I know they could have the right, in the interest of public safety, to kind of stop that if they believe there is trouble. They could also, as well, they have many countermeasures in place. So just because Tommy's got his mates and his fans and his cult leaders there, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to go his way. And I suspect if it doesn't go his way, which is more than likely, because he did tell a pack of lies, that now there will be more floodgates opened. I bet you for a fact that if this court case goes ahead, there'll be a lot of other people that have thought, well, why should I bother suing him? But now in that he has basically done something he's basically dropped his guard down, and now they're going to be blood, and they're going to want to sue him. And he'll end up from being in a posh des res to eventually having to declare bankruptcy because all his court cases that may come up in the future may bankrupt him, and he can't keep getting payrolls from his fans, because eventually the fans will either be in prison, or they'll just get bored and go back to wherever they came from. That's the problem with a cult of celebrity status. It's very short-lived. The people that have long careers, who are famous, are because they're great footballers, they're great entertainers, they're musicians. They're actually talented and they work hard at what they do. Tommy isn't talented. He doesn't have anything other than these social media videos, and realistically it's just a flash in the pan. But that's just my opinion. And as I said before, this is an opinion. Please be respectful to people on YouTube or any social media sites. Bullying will not be tolerated. I will flag you, and I know when you create fake accounts because you have no photo. It's so obvious that when you have fake accounts. I've also seen the kind of people that post these videos aren't really the people that maybe could have a rational argument. They're full of anger and hate, and all I'm saying is, look, we can make the world better, but we don't do it with our fists. We do it with open hands, to shake people of different cultures' hands. We work together to create a better future. We don't divide, we don't conquer. Otherwise, we end up with more problems, and we end up with blood on the street, which I'm sure like a lot of Tommy and Tommy fans want. But the rest of us who kind of don't really have an issue, we just want to live our lives normally. We don't want to be walking down the street and see a massive bunch of alcohol-fueled thugs marching down with their St. George's flags, kicking off because Tommy got banned off Facebook. We actually want to live our lives, and we want to do things. We want to make our communities better, and we don't make our communities better by waving a flag and shouting and harassing people. We do it by working together, creating great projects that benefit society, and that's what true social democracy is about: creating a better society by working together, putting safeguards that mean that if things don't go the way they're planned, there's a safety net. What we shouldn't do is blame someone else if it doesn't go right. Okay, that's me done, and I will see you later.